Welcome, curious minds, to another exciting deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into something, well, really foundational. Something that underpins clarity, confidence, and, yeah, even that competitive edge in the academic world and beyond. We're talking about Hindi grammar.
Right.
Now, I know some of you might be thinking, grammar, is that really a deep dive? Isn't it just, a collection of dusty old rules?
They get their reputation sometimes.
But trust me, this isn't about rote memorization.
Think of Hindi grammar not as some static instruction manual, but more like the dynamic operating system of the language.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, like use apps on your phone.
Precisely. It's about decoding the very logic that helps you truly master Hindi. Whether you're aiming for top scores in exams, or delivering impactful presentations, or even just having, effortlessly vibrant everyday chats. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's really fascinating here is exactly that perspective. Grammar often gets painted as rigid, maybe even a bit daunting, especially for students facing exams. But in reality, it's the blueprint for precision. It's the bedrock of confidence, and
Honestly, the clearest path to a truly deep understanding of the language. So our mission today is to demystify it, to break it down not into abstract rules, but into precise,
Absolutely. And speaking of empowerment, let's kick things off with that immediate, pressing question for so many of you out there, maybe in school or prepping for competitive tests. Why should you actually care about Hindi grammar?
yeah, the why bother question.
Exactly. It's often just seen as another box to tick, another school subject to get through, but it's so much more. Imagine for a second you're in a high-stakes situation.
Okay.
Maybe you're sitting for a crucial board exam, crafting that essay that could really define your grade.
Or perhaps you're drafting a formal letter, say, for a university application. Or maybe prepping a presentation for a school project that needs to impress.
Right. Those moments matter.
In those moments,
And it's a transformative result. Let's talk exams. Exam success. Okay.
Whether you're dealing with your CBSE boards, or maybe aiming higher for those really competitive national exams like UPSC or SSC, Hindi grammar questions are, well, they're everywhere, and they're often decisive.
Not just a side thing then.
Not at all. They aren't just some small, isolated section. They often act as crucial differentiators. A deep, nuanced understanding gives you a significant competitive advantage. It lets you confidently tackle those sections, decode the
tricky questions, and grab those vital marks that can honestly make all the difference in your overall rank.
So earning points, sure, but also showing you really know the language.
Exactly. It's about
Or the back end, letter writing, and back end dialogue writing, paragraph writing. You might have absolutely brilliant ideas, right? Innovative arguments, deeply felt emotions you want to share. But if your grammar isn't precise, if your sentences are kind of muddled, or the agreements are off, or the phrasing is just awkward, those brilliant ideas, they lose their punch.
they fall flat.
They do. Correct grammar is that critical bridge. It takes a raw thought and turns it into polished, persuasive, genuinely resonant
Communication. It ensures your arguments aren't just understood, but they carry the weight and conviction they deserve. It's the difference, really, between just giving information
when you have that unwavering confidence in your grammar, it just radiates. It comes through in both your speaking and your writing. You can articulate thoughts with precision, pick absolutely best words, construct sentences that are not only sound, but also really effective. This mastery gets rid of misunderstandings, eliminates ambiguity, and crucially, it makes you sound articulate, authoritative, reliable even.
Yeah, I can see that.
Imagine standing up in class, giving a presentation,
Or maybe taking part in a debate, or even just confidently explaining a complex idea to a friend. Clear, grammatically correct Hindi makes you sound polished, professional, convincing.
Hindi, as our national language, carries this incredibly rich tapestry of history, literature, identity. Using it with precision actually strengthens your connection to that heritage. It's about respecting the language, preserving its nuanced beauty, and making sure its rich cultural legacy keeps getting expressed accurately and powerfully.
And it adds a whole other layer to why it's important.
It does, and even more broadly, think about this. The clear communication skills you hone through mastering grammar.
They are remarkably transferable to all areas of life.
Like what?
Well, from acing a job interview where clear articulation is paramount to presenting complex ideas in any professional.
Well, anything complex. Okay, so we get why it's so incredibly important. Now let's shift gears. Let's talk about the fundamental components of Hindi, the absolute core building blocks. Forget Lego bricks for a moment. Think of these as like the very DNA of the language.
Oh, I like that, DNA.
Yeah, the elemental structures that combine to form everything, from single words all the way up to, profound literary expressions.
Excellent framing. Understanding these core elements isn't just helpful, it's completely non-negotiable if you want to really grasp Hindi grammar deeply.
Let's start with the absolute smallest distinct units of sound. Hua, sounds in the alphabet.
Okay.
A varn is the most fundamental unit. The small.
Swar, which are vowels, and Vyanjan, consonants.
Got it. Vowels and consonants, but with maybe some specific Hindi characteristics.
Precisely. So, swar, the vowels, are sounds you pronounce independently. There's no obstruction to the airflow coming up from your lungs. Think about the 11 main ones. And say them, you feel how open your mouth is.
Yeah, totally unobstructed.
Then you have Vyanjan, the consonants. There's 33 main ones, from para all the way to Vajna. Now, unlike
Vowels, consonants are formed by combining with vowels. Their articulation always involves some kind of obstruction or modification of the airflow somewhere in your mouth or throat. Try saying.
Okay, so they're not just marks, they're instructions.
Exactly. Critical instructions. Take the consonant, A. If you add the major for E, you get P. Add the major for E, it becomes boom. These aren't just decorative, they dictate the sound, and therefore often the meaning. A tiny change in major can completely change the word.
That's a fantastic breakdown of the real building blocks. Shows how precise Hindi's sound structure is. Hey, here's a quick practice tip for you, the listener. Try this. Take a word like
Vidyalaya school. Now, don't just say it. Try to really deliberately break it down, sound by sound, into its individual varn and matras. You'll see it meticulously comes up.
unit of meaning within a sentence. Just like English, Hindi words fall into different categories based on their job in the sentence, in the, parts of speech. Understanding these categories is like knowing the function of every single gear and lever in a complex machine. It clarifies how each piece works together. There are 8 main types, and knowing them is absolutely essential for building meaningful sentences.
Right. So how does Hindi categorize these word types? Are there any specific
nuances for Hindi learners to watch out for?
Good question. Let's dive into them, focusing on those Hindi-specific points. First up, Tintalo, Sangyinam. Generally, it's the name of a person, place.
Every single one, and it's not just some abstract label. It fundamentally impacts how other words in the sentence, like adjectives and verbs, have to agree with it. For example, Harala book is feminine. That dictates the form of any adjective describing it, or any verb acting on it.
Wow, okay, that gender aspect is huge compared to English.
Yeah.
Definitely a common sticking point for learners, I bet.
It really is, and it's everywhere. Next is Hadala, Sarvanam pronoun. These replace nouns to avoid repetition.
But beyond just replacing, Hindi pronouns carry significant social weight. They indicate different levels of formality.
Like tu, tum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How to.
Precisely. Then comes helicopter, imitation adjective. These describe nouns. Kukoi, Atana Hani, Otibisabig. In Hindi, many adjectives also change their endings to agree with the gender and number of the noun they describe.
Oh, agreement again.
Yes. So, Alakani, like a big boy, becomes Panakamara, like a big girl. That agreement is vital for grammatical correctness. It adds detail and color, but you have
To follow the rules for how they blend with the noun.
Makes sense.
Next, kriya verb. The action or state of being in the sentence to eat. Sakukara for timida.
Following that is kriya visheshan adverb. Just like adjectives describe nouns, adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. They tell you how, when, where, or to what extent something happens. Slowly after.
Slowly.
Really quickly.
Right, adding that crucial detail to the action.
What's interesting in Hindi is that sometimes adjectives can function as adverbs without any explicit change in form, which adds a kind of subtle linguistic efficiency.
Interesting.
Then we have Hassan, Fatik, and Hertopit, someone both
Position. Now, these are often translated as prepositions, but Hindi primarily uses postpositions. They come after the noun or pronoun they relate to.
After, not before.
Next, Gimalaka Zushayamfeda. Samushya Boldha conjunction. These are your connectors, words that join words, phrases, or whole sentences code curtain. Beyond just and but, Hindi uses various conjunctions to show cause, condition, contrast, allowing you to build complex and nuanced ideas, like building logical bridges between thoughts.
Right, linking things up.
And finally, Vismaya Vibotak, interjection. These are words that
A
express
sudden emotion or exclamation. Hey, Pinka! Hey!
Wow.
They add that immediate burst of feeling or surprise. Using them well adds
Go through it, sentence by sentence. Try to identify every single noun. Then figure out its gender. Then spot the adjectives and check how they agree with those nouns. Find the verb about how they've changed based on their subjects. Ask yourself, what stands out to you here? What patterns are emerging as you label and analyze these intricate agreements? This kind of active digging doesn't just solidify your grasp of the parts of speech, it reveals the hidden symphony of grammatical agreement playing out.
That's an excellent way to turn passive reading
into a really dynamic analytical experience. Okay, so we've tackled the individual words, our linguistic DNA.
Right.
But just having the DNA isn't enough.
To the molecules of meaning.
The power of forming complete thoughts.
Indeed, sentence construction is arguably the most important application of grammar because it directly controls how effectively and precisely you get your thoughts across. Let's look at the different types of sentences you encounter because each one offers unique ways to express yourself.
Okay.
First, the simplest. The tasarkar. Simple sentence. This is your foundation. It contains one subject and one main verb, expressing a single complete thought like tasarkar asayajka.
Ram school jata. Ram goes to school. Clear, concise, direct. The straightforward statement.
Got it. Simple and clear.
Then we have the daka fagafakatans.
An example would be See, okay, phone. He read a book, also complete thought. They're linked to show a sequence or connection between two equally important ideas.
Right. Two main ideas joined together.
Exactly. And finally, then the petaviven is a mission of a complex sentence. This is where ideas really gain depth and nuance. It has a main clause.
It's the independent part that can stand alone and one or more dependent clauses. These dependent clauses can't stand alone. They rely on the main clause for their full meaning.
Understanding these different sentence types helps you express yourself with way more sophistication. You might just stuck with simple statements.
Precisely. Knowing these types allows for incredible variation in how you express things. It stops your writing and speaking from becoming monotonous. It empowers you to build intricate ideas, show cause and effect, express conditions, elaborate on details. It makes your communication much richer, more persuasive, and honestly more engaging.
It's a strategic choice, especially in essays or reports where you need to convey complex thoughts effectively.
That's a really powerful set of tools for any student's writing toolkit.
Yeah.
Now, what about...
A clear example. Main subject not the main subject I read the book. This SOV structure is absolutely fundamental. Internalizing it makes your sentences sound natural, not like you're just translating word for word from English. You say, well, people probably understand you, but it sounds quite unnatural, a bit funky.
That's a huge difference. It really requires
a conscious effort to reorder your thoughts, not just the words.
It does, but like anything with consistent practice, it starts to feel intuitive. It becomes your new internal grammar engine. It's
central. This means the verb in a sentence absolutely must agree with the gender and number of its subject. And sometimes, especially when using the ne postposition, it agrees with the object too. This is a very, very common area for errors if you're not paying close attention.
Can you give us some really clear examples? Show us how it works in action.
Certainly. Let's take a singular masculine subject, say, Ram, the verb adapts. Ram eats. See how
Uteta kata perfectly matches the singular masculine example.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, change the subject to plural and feminine, like Hakian Katian, like Dan girls. The verb changes significantly.
it does. Another quick set. Sonnet mode please. Boy please. Masculine singular. Let's get it boys play. Masculine plural. Gloria without lucky kelly girl please. Feminine singular. Smuran mitkanetre. Plagmat kirme. Lakin kelly girls play. Feminine plural. You can really see the verb changing dramatically to match.
That's the nuance that truly signals fluency, doesn't it? Whether you sound like
You really know the language, or you're still figuring out the basics.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for your practice tip today, here's a challenge. Try to construct 5 sentences every day. Make sure you include
building on that foundation of sentence construction, let's get into how Hindi combines words and sounds in even more, well, advanced and elegant ways. These techniques make the language incredibly efficient and sometimes subtly change the meaning. Think of them like advanced linguistic algorithms or maybe power-ups in a game.
ooh, power-ups, I like that.
Yeah, they allow for really dense meaning compression and make the language dynamic. We're talking about Sandy and Thomas.
Okay, these sound like they're getting into the real
Mechanics of how words are actually formed.
They absolutely do. Let's start with Sandy. This is basically the phonetic joining of two sounds, con, when they come together.
Yes, fusing in very specific rule-based ways. Understanding Sandhi isn't just academic, it helps massively with accurate pronunciation, correct spelling, and recognizing the root words hidden inside complex compounds. There are 3 main types, each with its own set of intricate rules.
Okay, 3 types. Let's break them down.
First and here, Swar Sandhi, Vowel Sandhi. This happens when 2 vowel sounds combine and merge, often forming a new, longer vowel sound. It actually has 5 subtypes based on exactly
How the vowels interact.
5 subtypes just for vowels. Wow.
It is quite detailed briefly how to make pure identical simple vowels combined to make their long version like Thailand plus IV, media plus Fute, where plus A becomes a present combines with dinner to make he, or with he to make the British Sunday combines with Thachibus no syndrome metra, which combines with the Chinese Label, this Mukhya Kandi, like a Sopna Mojudia Terika, which combines with Hebrew, you are more to make.
Wait, example te, teti plus ade, sadasmas plus ab sadev teti a. When nendu by hei the kola pesi plus adi atri deoto, will the speed.
Whoa, okay, that's like a precise chemistry of vowels interacting.
It really is. Understanding these rules helps you see the beautiful, logical patterns in how words are formed. Then we have onion, pantyhosey, Vyanjan Sandhi, consonant Sandhi. This involves changes when consonants meet other consonants or when a consonant meets a vowel.
Okay.
These changes can be quite varied and complex, often aimed at making pronunciation smoother or creating a specific sound effect. For instance, sade,
Truth plus sachi, consciousness, becomes. See how the shit changes to punch to blend smoothly with.
It reflects the phonological rules governing natural speech flow. Finally, there's Visarga Sandhi. This type involves changes around the Visarga sound. That's the sound represented by two dots, like a such a fifth sound as I come. For example, vis without plus, visi becomes Mr. Initial, free of cost. The Visarga here influences the following his sound. Another example, hisse, mana, plus his becomes
His, manor, where the visarga changes to an is sound. Or hisse, hissa. Hisse, couplet becomes his, nishapat, where it changes to loop.
good question. Summers, didactyl is distinct, while Sandhi is about the phonetic joining of sounds, Summers is about combining two or more words into a single compound word. It often shortens phrases into more concise, dense expressions. It's about combining meanings, not just sounds. Think of it as linguistic compression.
Okay, more like word combinations than focused on condensing meaning. Makes sense.
Precisely. Let's look at a few common types. First, Hari Nofia.
Samas. In this type, the second word usually dominates the meaning, and there's often a hidden grammatical marker, a karak postposition like u, for, fi, that gets dropped when the word
and the relationship is understood.
Got it. So it's a whole phrase squished into one efficient word.
Exactly, conveying complex relationships compactly. Next is homogeneous. Here, one word describes the other. Often it's an adjective describing a noun, or maybe two nouns where one describes the other. Think of homogeneous, Nilkamal Blue Lotus, which comes from Lualayetna, Nilkama Blue Lotus, or Kama Mahatma Gretu, from Hama Mahatma Gretu.
it shows a descriptive relationship.
Simple and powerfully descriptive. Makes sense.
Then we have Makanyo, Mistarma, Wandalasamas. This one's pretty straightforward. Both
food, water. Both parts hold equal weight.
So a balanced partnership between the two words.
Exactly. Next, Tajisibakan. This type is easy to spot because the first word in the compound is always a number, and the whole compound word refers to a group or collection of things.
Oh, like a number prefix.
Right. For instance, Tihu in Three Worlds, which comes from Evetiati Tanikiam, Teen Kuvanon Kasemu, a group of three worlds, or a Shorhon Kasemu, a Kulia crossroads, from Evaponie.
to Rahon Kasamu, a group of four roads. The number points to a collection.
That's quite clear. Number indicates a group.
Indeed. And then there's Ebiofuzia, Baham, Huvrisa.
For instance, Dashanan literally means 10-headed, or one with 10 faces, but it doesn't mean 10 faces in isolation. It specifically refers to the mythological character Ravana. Another is Sasaya, Nilkant blue-throated. It refers specifically to Lord Shiva.
That's a real aha moment. It's a completely new meaning that emerges, often loaded with cultural context.
Exactly, it's very rich.
Okay, for a practice tip on these complex combinations, try picking a few complex sentences
From a Hindi story, maybe from a Class 10 critique textbook, or even the lyrics of a Hindi song you like. See if you can spot words formed by Sandhi or Samas. Then, try to figure out
That's an excellent way to apply this and see the linguistic artistry in action. moving on from building sentences and combining words, let's talk about the glue. The stuff that meticulously shows how different parts of a sentence relate to each other, especially the relationship between the doer and the action, or between other nouns and actions. Think of them like the intricate joints in a complex machine, making sure every part connects and functions precisely. We're diving into karak cases.
Okay, so these define the specific job and relationship of each word within the sentence.
Like traffic signs for words.
Exactly. Or maybe grammatical roles. In Hindi, there are 8 types of karak. Each has a specific function and is usually identified by a unique post.
Number 1, estimation के मिलवाने के. This identifies the doer, the performer of the action. Its main position is gestation. The ne isn't always there. It's crucially used when a transitive verb is in the past tense to mark the agent, the one who did the action. Example: Here, shada is the doer, clearly marked by the senior. A common mistake is using shada in when it's not needed, like with intransitive verbs or in present future tenses.
Saying that is wrong. It should just be in ara.
Got it. In a specific to past tense transitive verb.
There's a cat.
Yes, a common one. Shanaim here is often omitted with direct objects of verbs like samaratari, hadi, ila, drink, aim, see, especially if the object is inanimate. So, egon shamatetro, is actually more common and sounds more natural. Lavasaraya is more strictly used with indirect objects or when the direct object is animate, like a person.
Okay, so sometimes you use code, sometimes you don't. Even with the object, that needs careful attention.
It does. Third,
Current karak instrumental case. This indicates the means or instrument used to perform the action. Its post position is sek. For instance, kip. This signifies the recipient of an action or the purpose for which something is done. Its post positions are cordon meaning for, or sometimes tulu meaning to when giving something to someone. Example: the guy cordon me use kitab de I gave him the book. Here, Yusamer is the recipient, marked implicitly by Korea. Another, पढ़ने के लिए स्कूल गया. Went to school for studying.
So for or to whom what?
Exactly. Fifth, itaman.
Precisely. Examples for Ramadan. Separation. Origin kama hai diya patient fakr gear. Leaves fell from the tree. Origin.
Kama original Giyama.
The Himalayas Ganga originates from the Himalayas. Comparison needed. He is taller than me.
That is the real distinction. Means versus separation origin comparison. One small word, two easily confused functions.
Wow.
Indeed. Mastering that specific nuance is a real sign of advanced Hindi. Sixth, Adi Khantana Basiri Kamanese Pasarabete Samban Karak
Example files where at Lapunkur. Has like single with agreement here coming on. He do a code for me, no code fit me. Lam he go temal bar kan fitna. Harm ki code center gram is book to human is feminine so we use came below.
if it were Ramsden stuff with some echo quarter market with their lamps of this man, what could he and put that boy is no empty now.
Okay, agreement again, but with the own item.
7 elegant as I could go to the also teaching
This indicates the place or time where or when an action happens. Its postpositions are figment vorne, meaning in, inside at, and halat, par, meaning on, at. Place example.
Yeah.
Often used with an exclamation mark. That's a really comprehensive breakdown. So, mastering these karak, how does it really help students beyond just fixing errors? What's the deeper impact?
Mastering karak is absolutely pivotal because it's the linchpin of precise meaning in Hindi. Without correct karak usage, the sentences can easily become ambiguous, confusing, or just plain wrong. For instance, using I correctly is a hallmark of sounding dative-like. It shows you understand transitivity and tense. Knowing exactly which postposition fits ensures
Your meaning is conveyed with absolute precision. This is crucial for clarity in essays, formal letters, even in nuanced spoken conversations. It adds this incredible layer of accuracy and
Exactly. And as a deeply insightful practice tip, try creating 10 sentences daily, intentionally incorporating a different karak in each one. Maybe in a slightly complex scenario, active, mindful application is everything here. Don't just list them, use them in context.
That's a great challenge for really elevating linguistic precision. Now let's talk about verbs again, those action words. How do they tell us when an action happens? It's like having a time machine for your sentences, right? But maybe one with multiple dials for different time dimensions.
We're diving into kalal tenses and maybe more importantly, their aspects.
Right. Tenses, or kal, are fundamental for showing the timing of events past, present, future. But Hindi
Exactly, we primarily categorize them into 3 main tenses, but each has these crucial aspects. First, Sime Vartamana present tense describes actions happening now, habitual actions or ongoing actions. Simple, present for habits or general truths. Age ago ye namazure mean patahun. I read study habitually. Vijay father hai. Surya proof meaning I have you doing. Present continuous, continuous. For actions
happening right now, ongoing, or next month, I mean, main padara and I am reading, studying. Focus on the continuous action. Present perfect. For action,
Next, called call past tense. Refers to actions already completed in the past.
In the past, these are related, yeah. Therefore, past for a completed action in the past doesn't specify exactly when. मैं बड़ी है सब एक ऐसे ऐसे इन लोगों को ताले में को मैं तो मतलब ये क्या था मैं किसका ये बात दे दिया past continuous है तो मैं ये हमेशा for actions that were ongoing in the past so आप पता करने main पता I was reading to this today और सारा उसी मसलन तो हम तो उधर करने हैं मतलब खाली से रहा था ना खाली हल्की से पासवर्ड भेज दो
past perfect. Abla ke salte hamare pure ke tank para was the actions completed before another past action or a specific past tense. We have pakas yo bo kya mo. Abo kya se poi rotta to hebe to ritni ka po mo de se kui per po ba de batin tra tipo do be to pion so ko ada de se era bacha it's kai lagi re kai bacha se til ke ne ya pata pui sa pata se le ga wo de ma de da pelo se se ai se le ga da de tira como tonto de ta de o man de mo pa de de ne le mara o hani han da kan ne ke ko da de de highlights a vast routine.
Wow, so the box isn't just one block of time either. It has its own internal timeline and continuity markers.
It does, and those nuances are really important for storytelling and clear sequencing. And finally, a simple future kame for Bhavishyat Kal future tense indicates actions that will happen in the future.
Okay.
Simple future.
Guys.
Dana for actions that will happen in future. Main kazunga. I will restudy for Jonah.
हम कहा भाई देरी जाएंगे. We will go to Delhi tomorrow. Future continuous. Niyamuktan, Britannia, Laka, Ospoten, actions.
It's incredible how the verb form itself, often with auxiliary verbs, carries so much precise time and aspect information. It's not just adding will or added.
It is. The verb endings and auxiliaries change significantly across tenses and aspects. Understanding these conjugations is absolutely critical for conveying the correct timing and nature of events and for building coherent narratives. It allows for a much more precise description of how actions unfold over time than simple tense labels might suggest.
Makes sense.
A really insightful practice tip. Try writing a short paragraph describing your typical day now, present aspects. Then write about what you did yesterday using various past
Aspects. Finally, describe what you will do tomorrow using future aspects. As you write, pay super close attention to how the verb changes its form in each sentence. This direct comparison really helps in
impactful. Think of these as the special effects in a movie, maybe. The masterful brushstrokes in a painting, the symphonic flourishes. They add depth, resonance, and unforgettable quality. We're talking about Alankar and Raj.
Absolutely. This is where Hindi truly elevates from communication to art. Let's start with Alankar. These are essentially figures of speech, rhetorical devices. Their main job is to beautify the language, make it more impactful, more memorable, just aesthetically pleasing, and often convey deeper meaning concisely.
they are the ornaments of language.
Like the literary devices we learn about in English poetry. Simile, metaphor.
Exactly, but often with deep roots in ancient Indian poetics. A very common and pleasing
A beautiful, often cited example is Chale Ke. Chandra Chandani Chamke, the moonlight shines. Hear that repeated sound. It adds a musicality, a poetic feel, makes it stick in your mind. Another famous one.
It's so clear and rhythmic.
It really does roll off the tongue and makes it
Memorable.
Indeed. Another widely used alankar is samane. This is a direct comparison between two different things, explicitly using comparison words like task.
That's where language really transforms, isn't it? Moving beyond just facts to evoking images and feelings. What about when something is something else, not just like it?
That brings us to metaphor. Unlike Utma, Rupa directly equates two dissimilar things. It says, one thing as the other without using those comparative words like took or us. It implies they're identical in the quality being highlighted. A classic example is Akunshankama, literally feet lotus, implying the feet are lotuses in their
beauty. It's a powerful way to convey profound resemblance. Another, Kujan kamikte herplan sutin invana distinguer the baxisram life is a battle, directly equating them.
So it's a stronger statement.
Precisely, more assertive. Then there's Artantantra, which is more about poetic imagination or conjecture. It's where the speaker imagines one thing to be another, often using words like mano as if, jano as if, manu. Example, makomano chantai. Her face is as if it were the moon. It introduces this element of poetic possibility, a strong imaginative leap.
As if, like a hypothetical comparison.
Kind of. And finally, a common one is hyperbole. This is deliberate exaggeration for emphasis or effect, not meant literally. A famous example describes Maharana Pratap's horse, Chetak.
Meaning, a huge river lay ahead, how would the horse cross? While Rana was still thinking on this side, Chetak was already...
Yes, this is a concept deeply rooted in ancient Indian aesthetics, especially classical performing arts, literature, poetry, drama. It represents the aesthetic relish, the emotional essence, the profound sentiment evoked in the audience or reader by the artwork.
So it's about the experience the art creates in you.
Exactly. It's not just the emotion depicted, but the emotion experienced by the consumer of the art. It's considered a state of heightened emotional and intellectual pleasure. There are traditionally 9 primary
Rise, each generating a specific emotional resonance.
9.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a taste, like the emotional flavor a piece leaves you with?
Precisely the emotional juice or sentiment. Delving into all 9 would be a whole other deep dive, but briefly. 1. Idealiana, shrink rise. Love, beauty, romance, both union and separation. 2. Humor, mirth, laughter. 3. Sorrow, pathos, tragedy. 4. Fury, anger, rage. 5. Heroism, courage, valor. 6. Fear, terror. 7. Disgust,
repulsion. 8. Hadapatrais, wonder, astonishment, awe. 9. Hantrais, peace, tranquility, detachment, often spiritual calm.
Wow, a whole spectrum.
As a really enriching practice tip, explore some Hindi poems, maybe classical songs, or even devotional bhajans. Actively try to identify examples of Alankar being used, and also try to feel out the dominant rise being evoked. What's the primary emotional flavor? It's a fantastic way to engage with the beauty and emotional depth of the language beyond just the grammar rules.
That's a beautiful way to connect with Hindi on a much deeper level. Speaking of flavor, let's talk about those expressions that make Hindi sound, well,
Really alive,
Yeah.
natural, idiomatic.
Yes.
Think of these as the unique spices, the secret ingredients in a delicious dish. They add zest, character, cultural richness.
These are phrases where the meaning isn't obvious from the literal words. They carry a figurative meaning that's culturally understood and adds color and conciseness. For instance, in Kolo, Pia, Kula, literally, limb swelling. But idiomatically, it means to be extremely happy, to be filled with joy.
right, like over the moon in English.
Exactly. Another common one, literally to become 9 to 11, idiomatically, to flee.
To run away, to make a quick escape. You can't just translate word for word. You have to know the accepted figurative sense.
So they capture a feeling or situation vividly, concisely, and in a...
Advice or commentary on life.
Little nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly, a great example. Literally, a blind person distributes sweets, repeatedly giving them to their own. The deeper meaning is about improper distribution or favoritism, how those in charge might unfairly benefit themselves or their favorites, perhaps without even realizing it.
Wow, that paints a picture.
It does. Another popular one. Chiller. Literally, doesn't know how to dance, blames the crooked courtyard.
Beyond just grammar rules, it's how you sound genuinely fluent, not just correct.
Right, bridging the gap between learner and speaker.
For a highly practical tip, challenge yourself to learn, say, 5 new idioms and proverbs each week. But don't just memorize the list. Actively try to weave them into your daily conversations. Maybe write them in a journal. Use them in short stories. The more you integrate them into your active vocabulary, the more natural and spontaneous they'll feel.
That's how you go beyond correctness to become truly expressive and authentic. Okay, we've unpacked all these amazing tools, these intricate rules of Hindi grammar. We've looked at its DNA, its architecture, its
time travel capabilities, its artistic side.
Quite a journey.
Yeah, but okay, you've got all these tools now. How do you actually build something amazing with them? How do you really master this huge...
Absolutely. The Hindi textbooks for classes 6 through 10, books like Vasan, Balram Katha, Kritika, they are foundational resources. Meticulously designed. They give you grammar explanations and exercises perfectly structured for students, starting simple and building up complexity. Crucially, they integrate grammar within the context of engaging stories and poems, making it feel more intuitive, less like a dry set of rules. They are your primary, most reliable companions.
So don't underestimate your school books. They're actually
the secret weapon for deep mastery.
Totally. Second, cultivate smart note-taking. Don't just passively copy rules. Actively engage with the material. Create concise, easy to review.
You're not just absorbing, you're structuring it for your own brain.
right, making it your own.
Exactly. Third, and this is probably the most critical, consistent daily practice. Non-negotiable. Aim to create at least, say, 10 sentences every single day, consciously applying different grammar rules you've learned that week. Practice gender agreement. Use different sentence types. Incorporate various character forms. This consistent, small effort builds incredible momentum and solidifies understanding. Treat it like a daily workout for your language muscles. Consistency is truly the key.
Little and often.
The cumulative effect is powerful. Makes sense.
Fourth, leverage online resources. The digital world is packed with amazing tools. Explore high-quality Hindi grammar videos on YouTube channels.
It really is. And finally, especially for those aiming for competitive success, mock tests. If you're prepping for high-stakes exams like UPSC or SSC, Solving previous year's question papers is indispensable. Do it religiously. It's not just about testing your knowledge. It familiarizes you with the exam patterns, the specific question types they ask for grammar. It helps you identify your weak spots under pressure, under timed conditions, and crucially, it teaches you time management.
Right, simulating the real thing.
Exactly. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, these techniques, they aren't just for Hindi grammar. They're universal, highly effective study skills. Smart notes, consistent...
Couldn't agree more.
So let's talk about that reality tripping up sometimes. Let's frame it not as a failure, but as a golden opportunity for real growth, deeper understanding. How do we troubleshoot our grammar, especially those common errors students make again and again?
That's such a vital point. Mistakes are not failures. They are invaluable data points. They tell you exactly where to focus your efforts for the biggest impact. Let's highlight some really common errors and, more importantly, why they happen and how understanding the rule fixes them, not just memorizing the corrections.
Okay, let's troubleshoot.
One very common one. Incorrect word order, especially coming from English SVO thinking. Incorrect.
So really drilling that SOV order into your head is essential for sounding natural.
Absolutely. It's a cognitive habit to build. Another frequent one relates to that tricky karak postposition. Karak with certain verbs, especially direct objects, incorrect. Attack the limit, Jesus kaya pero usneki tapali. Hey, she read the book. Correct, just executed usneki tapali. Hey, she read the book.
Ah, the omitted clause.
Yes, with a common transitive verbs like a, read, eat, a.
When the direct object is inanimate, that hate is often dropped in normal usage. While ea does grammatically mark the object, including it here sounds unnatural, a bit redundant, kind of clumsy.
Indeed, it distinguishes mechanical correctness from natural fluency. And finally, a super pervasive error. Gender and number agreement, especially with auxiliary verbs like hey. Incorrect. Hey, girls eat food. Correct. Girls eat food.
The missing dot.
Exactly. The mistake is the auxiliary verb hey.
For a plural subject, especially feminine plural here, the auxiliary must be hey with that nasal sound, the bindi or dot, not the singular hey. It's a foundational rule.
It's not rote correction. It's deep understanding leading to self-correction. As an incredibly effective practice tip, actively try to spot maybe 5 incorrect sentences daily. Could be from your own writing, things you hear friends say, maybe even stuff in media. Then consciously correct them. But here's the key part. Explain to yourself why the correction is needed by citing the specific grammar rule. This analytical approach doesn't just speed up learning, it embeds the rules deeply into your linguistic intuition.
That's a brilliant strategy. Turning every error into a mini lesson, a powerful learning moment.
Okay, wow. We've journeyed through why Hindi grammar is vital, its core elements, building sentences, combining words artfully, understanding relationships with karak, talking about time, adding our...
mindset. First strategy, set small, achievable goals.
Right. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Exactly. Don't fall into the trap of trying to master all of Hindi grammar overnight. It's overwhelming. Instead, focus on mastering one specific topic each week, or even one subtopic. Maybe this week is just Durga Sandy. Next week is just the difference between Karan and Apadan Karakse. This incremental approach builds momentum, gives you regular wins, and stops you feeling swamped. Each small victory fuels your motivation.
Break it down into bite-sized,
Conquerable pieces. Sounds much more manageable.
Precisely. Second, prioritize real-world application. Don't let your grammar knowledge just sit in textbooks or exam papers. Actively push
And finally, cultivate a positive mindset towards mistakes. Errors will happen. They are an inevitable, even necessary part of learning. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, failures, reasons to get bummed out, frame them as invaluable learning opportunities.
data points, like you said.
Exactly. Each error is a direct signal, a chance to understand a rule better, refine your intuition, strengthen your command. Embrace perseverance. Embrace a growth mindset. Believe fundamentally that with consistent effort, curious exploration,
and an open mind, you can and absolutely will improve. You will become a confident, articulate Hindi speaker and writer.
This is really motivated.
And this perhaps raises an important question for you.
Just articulating your own deepest thoughts with clarity and impact.
That's a profound thought to sit with. It goes way beyond just grammar, doesn't it? Wow. Well, you've just taken a massive, insightful step toward becoming truly confident in speaking and writing Hindi. We've journeyed through why grammar is vital for exams and communication, meticulously broken down the building blocks from sounds to words, explored sentence architecture, the art of Sandhi and Samas, the intricacies of Karak, the nuances of Kal, and the beauty of Alankara and Ras. Remember, consistent, mindful practice.
Diligently using resources like your answer books, leveraging online videos, and crucially, seeing mistakes as those invaluable growth opportunities. That's your ultimate empowering path.
If this deep dive helps you unlock some aha moments about Hindi grammar, please do hit that like button. It really helps us know what resonates with you. And definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive where we make complex topics clear